Her husband had already been lured away with pies, there's no other way to put it. He had always loved good food and would never have married her if Eugenia hadn't gotten pregnant, because she didn't know how to cook. She was the youngest daughter in the family, and her sisters always did the cooking. And she wouldn't have married Alexei either, because she preferred tall, thin men, preferably with a brooding appearance. Alexei, however, was a chubby, cheerful man with rosy cheeks, not at all her type. But the pregnancy changed all their plans, and there they were at the registry office, promising love and fidelity. 2 months later, she miscarried, and there was nothing left to bind this not-so-successful marriage together. Her husband was miserable, picking at reheated convenience foods, while Yevgenia was pleased that Alexei's belly and rosy cheeks had significantly faded since he moved in with her. Then her mother fell ill. Since her older sisters all had children, it was Yevgenia who went to take care of her. Her mother lived in the suburbs in a house with a stove and a garden, so Yevgenia often stayed overnight, naively asking her neighbor and friend, Ludmila, to look after Alexei. Ludmila was an excellent baker, and one day Yevgenia returned to find her husband gone. His things were gone too, with only a note left on the table. They divorced quietly, without scandal, and moreover, Ludmila explained to Yevgenia that if she was a true friend, she would understand and forgive. After all, she wouldn't want to ruin their friendship over a man. Her mother wasn't wrong to call Yevgenia spineless. She didn't much want to be friends with Ludmila after she stole her husband, but selling the apartment and buying a new one was a hassle, and fighting even more so. So, she pretended to understand, and they continued to be friends as families. However, it wasn't the same kind of family. After the divorce, she bought herself a spaniel puppy, with whom she now talked over dinner and watched TV shows together. She named the spaniel Lord, and he was just like her, spineless, incapable of defending even his own, let alone taking someone else's. If another dog barked at him, Lord would tuck his tail and hide, and they lost countless balls and bones during walks. Soon, Yevgenia started to dislike all the dogs in the area, especially another spaniel. That one was the opposite, assertive and even brazen, always bullying Lord. Yevgenia even overcame her natural shyness and argued with its owner. The owner turned out to be just like his dog and retorted that his dog was still a puppy, practically a child, and shouldn't be scolded. Yevgenia had no one to complain to except Lord, so she would visit Ludmila and Alexei and complain to them. Ludmila fed her pies, and Alexei suggested poisoning the neighbor's dog with strychnine. That's how they lived. If Yevgenia hadn't particularly liked Alexei during their marriage, she missed him now. What did she need those brooding handsome men for? Life with Alexei was fun. He told jokes and could see the silver lining in any trouble, finding the most incredible solutions. She missed his comments on TV shows and his off-key singing in the shower. Alexei seemed to miss her too. Ludmila had started focusing on her career to get good maternity benefits, and there were fewer pies and more convenience foods at home. Alexei would visit Yevgenia, hopefully peeking into the fridge and sighing. Yevgenia decided to learn how to cook. Not to win her husband back, but just to please him somehow. She found online videos. Burned 3 cabbage pies, oversalted 1 with giblets, and undercooked 2 with apples. And suddenly, it worked. The 7th pie, made with lamb, turned out so delicious that Yevgenia immediately called her ex-husband and invited him over. Sorry, I can't. Ludmila has an important day today, I'm going to meet her with flowers. What do you think, should I buy roses or lilies? Lilies, Yevgenia answered, surprised by her own cunning. Ludmila couldn't stand lilies. She had to feed the pie to the dog, but there was still a lot left. Yevgenia wrapped a big piece in foil for herself and went for a walk with Lord, to somehow drive away the sadness and hopelessness. As always, that same bully dog, whose name Yevgenia now knew was Maya, attacked Lord. She called the dog's owner Maya in her mind, though a more autumnal name would have suited him. Even in the hottest weather, he wore a dark shirt with long sleeves and formal trousers. "Take your dog away," Yevgenia couldn't hold back when Maya habitually grabbed Lord by the ear, trying to tear it off. But the dog's owner ignored her, sitting on a bench and reading a book. Yevgenia had to fend off Maya herself while Lord whimpered pitifully, causing her to drop the pie wrapped in foil. Holding the leash, the pie, and fending off the vicious dog all at once was impossible. Maya, apparently deciding that this wonderful pie was sent to her like the cheese to the crow, left Lord's ear alone and devoured it down to the last crumb, shredding the foil into tiny pieces. When she got home, she found Alexei at her door. "What are you doing here?" "Waiting for you." "And the lilies?" "I already gave them." "They went to celebrate, they have a company party." "Only for their own." "Oh, I see," Yevgenia said, not knowing what else to say. "Well, come in, I baked a pie." "A pie?" Alexei asked doubtfully. His doubts disappeared as soon as he entered the kitchen and sniffed. It did smell appetizing. He ate the entire pie and asked her to call him again if she got another culinary inspiration. "Well, it turns out baking pies is a good thing." Yevgenia began mastering other recipes, testing the results on Maya, who from that day on followed her like a shadow, sucking up to Lord and even fetching balls for him from other dogs. If Maya particularly liked her baking, Yevgenia would wait for Alexei. One day she made such a divine quiche that it didn't need testing on the dog. Yevgenia invited Alexei over. He came, but not alone, he brought Ludmila, and they both smiled. "We have news for you," Ludmila announced, glancing at Yevgenia's ex-husband, now her husband. "I'm pregnant. With twins." It was a good thing Yevgenia was sitting and holding nothing in her hands. The news hit her hard, and she had to confess that all this time she had been learning to bake pies. Still hoping for something. After the guests left, Yevgenia picked out a nice piece for Maya, took Lord, who had become much happier lately, and went for a walk. Maya's owner was still sitting in his black shirt, reading a book, not paying attention to what his dog was doing. He was actually quite handsome, with a mysterious and brooding look, like Christian Bale. She sat down next to him and glanced at the book cover, Edgar Allan Poe's stories, of course. "Would you like to come over for some pie?" she asked. Maya's owner put down the book, looked at Yevgenia closely, and said, "I thought you'd never invite me." I was about to start taking pies for Maya. That's how Yevgenia learned that brooding handsome men could joke too. And that having two dogs in the house is much more fun than one.